Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is slamming what he says is a heinous double standard after a congressional advisory panel voted yes to awarding GOP candidate Nikki Haley with Secret Service protection, but not RFK Jr. Kennedy wrote on X of this move, "While I'm happy she'll be protected and publicly supported her request, double standards abound. My campaign first requested Secret Service protection in May of 2023 with a 63-page declaration. We still have a current request pending." Kennedy continued, "My request is the first time in 55 years a candidate has ever been denied. The Biden administration is the sole outlier to turn down a request for Secret Service coverage." The process for getting Secret Service protection involves a panel of actually congressional leaders getting together and deciding whether to recommend this protection, and then the ultimate decision is made by Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who has denied it to RFK Jr. thus far. RFK Jr. did have an angry person with a gun interrupt one of his events. He's paying for his private security, but frankly, what's offered by the Secret Service is much more robust. I'm not really understanding the argument for not granting him protection, frankly, and the administration hasn't offered one for what it's worth.
I'm not sure the level of threats the Nikki Haley campaign is getting, but having an angry person come into your event with a gun sounds like one of the larger threats we've heard about in mainstream media that's been reported on, that's come out of the RFK Jr. campaign. In terms of like other presidents like Obama, Herman Cain, Trump getting Secret Service early, it makes sense that there are some cases where the threats are so big that the standard 120 days out from a general election for presidential and vice presidential candidates just doesn't apply because, we'd rather keep those candidates safe. It's good for our democracy if our candidates can live on to election day. But in the case of Nikki Haley, I mean, her favorability rating is 33%. RFK Jr.'s is 52%. Do people hate her way more? We have no idea what threats she's getting and the level of those threats. How real are they? How close do they get to actually harming Nikki Haley? In the case of RFK Jr., it's possible he's receiving very serious threats or would be in more danger if he didn't have his own privately hired security. They could be acting as a deterrent. I think you're right that it just makes sense to grant the major candidates that are still in the race at this point access to Secret Service resources. I
can't understand why they wouldn't give that protection to RFK Jr. as well, given what he's experienced, given the Kennedy name. There could be crazy people out there who have an axe or a conspiratorial axe against the Kennedys for various reasons. There's obviously a history of political violence against members of his family, his father, his uncle, etc. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I can totally see people close to Biden, Mayorkas, people in the Department of Homeland Security totally hating the idea of an independent running a viable campaign in the United States. People in the establishment love the two-party system that we have, or the uniparty system, as some people would call it. But I think that it could very well be a political decision. Absolutely, let's drain some resources from the campaign. He can pay for it himself, and therefore he has less money to run advertisements against us and invest in having more staff and getting on the ballot in the states where he wants to be on the ballot in the general. Very well could be a political decision.
Yeah, it's hard not to reach that conclusion. If they want to disabuse us of it, tell us what's going on, or better yet, just give him the Secret Service protection. Seems like would be a no-brainer at this point.